Good morning. Yes, my voice is a little odd and peculiar, but so goes it. I can at least talk today. So we are picking up on H 660. And we, as you probably can figure out, are not going to vote on that this morning. But we are going to do markup, and I don't know, I'm gonna have to rely on my vice chair and ranking member. Did you guys make any decisions about?
We agreed on 1 and 7.
Yeah, not much, sorry.
Those were the only two that both departments felt.
So no.
Okay.
Sorry.
We had
We had a lot of discussion.
productive discussion moving
Yeah, so it
forward.
should be closer
Yeah.
today.
Okay, and Nolan, does this represent, could you modify this to represent the health department's latest memo? They combine two and,
Direct no language, I took, what I did was I added the reversions in there. And then I created a column for you guys to write in. Yeah. And then I added the balance fund bond, but otherwise it's just the same. And I fixed typos and some other things.
So,
this.
right, so we have to, no,
Okay.
that's the column here that you said we can fill in, but
Okay.
that's not, we have the
Put that
column
here
here.
so I can fit it. Okay, so I sent everybody a memo from Shayla Livingston. Because one of the things that is covered in the health reform rural health transformation grant is recovery residences. And so we asked for additional information about how that impacted, whether that impacted this. And we got a memo from Shayla that I sent to you saying essentially they need both what they have in the rural health transformation grant and this. And they asked funds in items 2, well, in her thing, it was 2A and 6 to complement the funding. That's new recovery beds for 1.2 or 900,000, depending upon which recommendation. And recovery residents ongoing operational funding, 1.4 or 1.7, depending upon which recommendations. So those are two that are tied. And they eliminate item 14.
I'd say that's the other one that theoretically connects, but they may be seeing rural. That's the other new beds.
So we're taking 14 right out? Oh, that's the recommendation from the health department. Those are what Shayla says in her memo that you all have. They want to manage the funding through a single process for new, which I get. And then they ask for item number 5 to be eliminated altogether.
So part of our, I was going to say, Madam Chair, part of our discussion yesterday is I had thrown out for conversation that my view that the BDH holistic view on this, whether it's rural health transformation, DF, or through these funds, I think put them in a position to better consider in these categories how they wanted to fund it. And not necessarily, I don't know that all that information, particularly rural health transformation, was available to the committee and in making their recommendations. So I had been proposed to try to move along that we accept what was outlined in that email by Shayla we also discussed, one thing that I'm not sure I personally would agree with was number 5, taking that all out and possibly cutting that because the department says that they intend to do that. I'm a little personally worried about the timeline and whether we cut that and make it 100,000 and to give the first half of the fiscal year, ensuring that there are funds available should the department be a little slower on the uptake with that part through the rural health transformation.
Well, so as we heard, well, you might not have heard unless you're on joint fiscal, unless you came, that they're under a very tight time frame in which to draw down and spend these funds. So they want to put as much in the rural health transformation grant as possible.
Right.
So so while I understand, that line of thinking, what you're thinking about, I'm also thinking like, well, we don't want to send money back to the feds. And so I think I might go along with that recommendation.
Yeah.
As long as we keep all the documentation together,
Right.
documentation of this memo, this sheet, because I don't want that to not be a service. Yes, go ahead. Ann.
So, yeah, I'm looking at the spreadsheet with, I read Sheila's memo, but don't have it with me. But number 2, that's ongoing. My understanding is the rural health is all about new, not ongoing.
Right.
So it covers the other things.
Yeah.
So number 2, we need to keep. Not, was Sheila saying these are all going into a bucket?
No.
Okay,
No.
all right. We need, 2 needs to stay in this
Yes. And
and maybe at the higher level even, but
2 needs to stay because that is existing
right,
services and rural health transformation grant can't cover existing services.
right.
So, okay, so you've agreed on 1. That was an easy one, right?
We did also agree with all the reversions.
Yes.
Our work is done.
Okay. All right, so let's look down at recovery residents ongoing operations funding. And then I'm just going to check, Lori, did we receive any emails from people around their sort of explanation or advocacy for certain positions? Because I said several times that we weren't going to be taking verbal testimony from community partners on this. Okay, thank you. Okay. So
We
I
did have a lot of verbal testimony yesterday in the joint hearing,
okay,
some of which was specific to, a lot of it specific to recovery residences.
so I think this is going to be a difficult year to give what essentially is a COLA increase. And I don't think that we should identify one particular group over another particular group. I don't anticipate us making recommendations for COLA when we do our budget work. And so my recommendation is that we accept the department's recommendation on this, which is
Brian Gina is.
just Brian's, okay? Thank you. Go ahead and post his on the website, Lori. Thank you. And I think we were going to get something from Elevate, but I don't know if we did. I don't,
They have a specific ask at the,
yes, I know.
I asked for the breakdown of the 200,000 from last year and they said they only spent 23,000.
Yeah, that was for, remember, I pointed out that it wasn't for the full year. It was.
I know, but 23,000 and we're going up 88,000.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
It's a
if we are.
different project.
Well, I specifically asked on that. And maybe they need.
on number 2,
The 288,000.
So sorry, I confused people. I didn't
Okay.
want to do, so. So we're looking at recovery residents ongoing.
Number two.
Number two. Are people okay?
And one thing I
Yeah.
believe, and no, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there $100,000? Mentioned yesterday that. Obligated, yeah. On that one.
Yeah, there was.
So there's a little bit more than that one.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, there was.
And I thought this wasn't for COLA, it was because there's increasing to support an increase in the number of operators.
That's
the
what it
same
says
level.
here, yeah.
So it's nothing to do with a COLA, it's,
Okay,
there's another,
I read maintain the same level of support.
For
Yeah.
increasing number of operations rather than for
Yeah.
same operations increasing
It's like-
costs.
you know, like we do with HOP, we kind of adjust as more shelters come online, then they're needing those funds. This is what we're seeing here, I believe.
I don't understand. Who's getting that?
So I'm gonna ask Meg, since she's here, how much is this per recovery residents?
I have to do that math, but they do bring in two, at least two, so I'm not sure that the one is certified yet. But over the past 2-3 years, I have, yeah, it's been two to maybe closers, so. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm not either.
You want them bigger.
Yeah, and I can send it, resubmit the extras with their information.
Well, so the one, thank you, 1.4 was increased from 1.2 to 1.4 last year, and now asking for another 350,000 increase. Yeah, go ahead, Nolan. You could, if you want to join us at the table, you're welcome to, or if you can stay there, either way, whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay, so in this report from the health department, they have what money's been spent, what money's not been spent.
Yes.
So it said that, as of 115, there was still $140,000 that had been unobligated for recovery residents. So the point was that there's still money that they haven't spent. So that's just sitting there. So you might hold that when you think about it too.
So, I think that, yes, I'm thinking about splitting the difference, but, also would like to know between FY 25, FY 26, how many new
Mhm.
providers came on? And so how many providers is this supporting? And Meg, I'm sorry, if you sent this already, it's probably buried in my email.
Yeah, Meg's sections of those. I want to go back to double check, but at least two new residences have come online from FY 25 to FY 26, and that might be those that I.
Okay,
So when you say new residents, is this starting up?
yes,
They need new staff, new.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's, they're already online. So, for substance use services, trying to have the kind of, support for people with substance use disorder, to be sober in recovery residences, and to have that across the state in essentially all of our counties, so that people don't have to travel to be able to access that kind of support. So this would be representative of there being additional, at least 2 additional homes. I would like to know what the total is, Meg. Okay,
This is where I, after being an accountant, would like to actually see the spreadsheet, this one, where the money's going before I give out willy-nilly money. Because I like checks and balances.
yeah, and that's the department's role. That's the Department of Health's role.
Yeah, I brought.
Just on my,
But I sent the Department of Health, never replied.
Yeah,
So just to let you know, I try to do my homework and that's why I end up voting no.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I tried, no answer, only Elevate got back 2 places.
Okay, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, just to help out Meg, I just went back to the opioid settlement. A lot of this stuff too, if you get a second, you can find some of the information that's been asked in regards to the 1.75 retire certified for new residents each year over the past few years. The operators are working to scale these resources.
Yeah,
The appropriation of 1.75 is needed to maintain the same level of support per home for our increasing number of operators. So what they're asking for is that 1.7 million is to support those 3 new residencies that have come online in the last year.
thank you.
So, my first action proposed, pre FY 25, there were 12 certified residences. They brought 4 new residences online in FY 25, and you can list those ones if you'd like. And then in FY 26, they brought on 3 new residences in Essex, Springfield, and Rutland. And they're in process of standing up and certifying 2 new residences in St. Albans and Millbrae, but those are not operational yet, but will be in FY 26, but we'll July.
So when the opiate settlement monies run out, do all these new residences close down because the state can't
Well, this is,
maintain them?
yeah, this is the thing that we.
That's where I struggle.
Right, so just to remind people, the top 4 things are things that we said that we would fund on a ongoing basis until the opioid settlement funds run out. And you might recall that I asked Shayla Livingston when she was here, what is your plan for ongoing funding? Because we're not just gonna shut down the recovery residences.
Right.
And she gave the example that this year, higher ability, they were asking for 850,000, and she said, we put that into the governor's budget request. So my advice, around these funds to the administration is to start to transition these into the base budget somehow, because you're not gonna be able to do this all in one fell swoop.
And property, we're gonna drive people to homelessness. We're gonna have people leaving Vermont because they can't keep having these put in the base budget. They can't keep maintaining these. I've lived this with select board, with school board. We can't, when you get these monies, you can't keep funding them after they run out. We're driving people out of Vermont. We're driving people into homelessness. So it's 500 people homeless in 2014, and now there's over 4,000 because of these base budgets. So I just like to give my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, so I'm gonna propose 1.6 million here to take into account the 150 that hasn't been obligated. And that's representing 19 facilities. And I think that, we'll need to talk about the support for new ones when we get down to that.
Do we want to put like language in the memo to kind of document that direction, that we should start thinking as a state about
Should have
ongoing
language is 660.
sustainability?
Yeah. Yeah,
My preference would have been the 1.750, but I can go along with the compromise.
Make it support.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
they have 150 that's not been up. Okay,
140.
well, 149.
Oh,
Wasn't it 149?
But we're not finished with this
sorry.
fiscal year. We're also not finished with
Yeah.
current fiscal year, so that's fine. Debate.
Good point. No, sorry, I just read an email.
Oh,
Okay, peer recovery services.
so just, Eric, you can dispute me on that, but I think it's important to recognize in the category that when they say peer, this is incorrection, so.
This is placing recovery coaches inside the facility.
Right, but recovery coaches defined by corrections means a peer is a person who is experienced correctional system, not necessarily somebody who is a peer in terms of substance use or mental health, because they're doing all of this.
I see where you're going. What this should have really expressed is like from what their proposal, they should have used the word recovery coaching services. Because that's what it is. The DOC will go into MOUs with the Turning Point centers, whom are closest to correctional facilities, and provide them the funding.
Okay, so they're
Peers.
coming in
Substance use.
because corrections has an internal peer program, peer recovery program, not Turning Point, but folks who are,
Oh, the Open Ears program?
Yeah.
Is that what you're speaking
this
of?
is not open ears.
No.
Okay, all right, that clears.
Don't get
that
me
up.
going
Thank
with
you.
that program.
Nope, okay, good. Now we
wanna
can talk
know.
about one. Right,
Oh,
okay.
yeah. If you'd
Okay.
like to hear my.
Thank you
that's,
for the clarification, that, then I,
Yeah.
yes.
Later.
So Nolan? We didn't provide any last year. My recollection was because it had taken them time to get up and running and recruitment issues, so they had carry forward funds. Recovery, yeah, it's number 3, peer recovery services at DOC. Do you have a thing on the little spreadsheet from, or the report from DOC that says how much has been spent on that?
Okay.
Eric, while we're waiting,
Yeah.
do you know why the committee recommended less than, is there a specific reason, less than BBH or?
That was a request made to us by the proposal was the
Okay.
1.1 million.
Okay,
And I did have many questions in regards to that, because to go to a couple of concerns and points that were made, what sustainability plan is in place by the Department of Corrections to maintain recovery coaches inside the facility once this money has expired? That's a very dangerous philosophy to have that level of service inside the facility, and then next thing you know, it's over. And I also did express regards for the levels of what they are providing. I wanted to make sure that the recovery coaching is just that. They're in there doing recovery coaching, not responsible to do any levels of like reentry planning and things like that. That's not their scope. It's to provide what do you call supportive services and maybe some groups. So how they got it lined up, everybody was very much in favor of it. Again, the main concern was what's the sustainability? What's that?
So I have here that we had appropriated 1,060,000 in Act 113.
Yeah,
It spent 115.6. Spent 121,398. There's about 940,000 left unspent. Remaining balance.
At this time, we're going into
1 million
26.
has been obligated, it just hasn't been spent. So it's obligated but not spent.
okay.
That's just the general.
I don't know that they need to, that it needs to go up. I think there, the recommendation of the committee makes sense.
And no, that's by the end of 25 or in 26?
What as of, it
25.
says presented 1/15/26, so.
Yeah.
I
Go
gotta
ahead.
re-clarify something. The request of them was 1.25. We dropped it down to the 1.1 because the department wanted the 10% indirect cost administrative fee. Well, no.
Oh.
Yeah. Good job.
I guess we'll go with the 1.1 then.
But then maybe.
I
require-
went and looked at it. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
right
So it
there.
may require language to clarify that the 1.1 is for the service to not include, because otherwise it could end up being reduced in effect by the
Oh,
10%
right.
for administration. So I think that would need language to clarify that.
It's interesting because the memo is silent on why there's an increase. It just said the estimated cost for the upcoming fiscal year is 1.25.
Because they did provide a budget.
Did you have any recollection, Eric, about whether they added an administrative fee to any of the others?
I did not see any proposals that had that.
This was the only one,
This was the only one I
Why did you see
saw.
That one, I don't understand.
because this is DOC. so
Yeah, this was
maybe they're-
specifically.
It's the only one that's DOC.
Maybe because it's outside the agency concern. Well, no, it isn't.
It's not,
It's not.
it's outside DBA, yeah.
Okay, we'll go with
Just-
1.1.
Chair, would it be helpful to have elaboration on the federal grants piece associated with this?
With peer recovery coaches?
No, it sounded like there was. I don't need to.
This is federal mostly.
Yeah, so the 940 is still because the state dollars haven't been spent down because this.
Oh, that's one of the reasons why we didn't fund it last year.
Yeah, they got a federal grant to fund the program through FY 26.
Oh, yeah, I'm remembering now the confusion between corrections and institutions and us last year. Okay,
Yes, but that federal grant was canceled.
okay,
So I think the 1.1,
that'd be fine.
it's fine, but there's a federal grant that has been primarily paying for like 940 will definitely be spent before July because this isn't every correctional facility across the state now. And it's been largely funded by a federal earmark that goes away on June 30th. And is not being funded. So that's why the department is asking for these funds.
Okay, I clarified that.
And last year, they submitted their proposal well past the deadline at which the OSAC committee was accepting proposals.
Okay. So number 4, emergency shelters.
So we discussed that yesterday, concern about whether or not that was part of the housing budget
And I made
agency, and
inquiry on that, and it is not a separate. I checked in with Lily Sojourner,
right.
so there's no overlap.
And I think it sort of says that in the notes, in the sense that this is only for services and supplies not covered by Medicaid or funded. So I think this is to fill the non-Medicaid.
And that's, the 250 is available in all shelters, as opposed to the money in the housing initiative in the budget book is just to try to get the recovery-oriented shelter that CVOEO is going to operate in Burlington. That's the distinction between those two.
What's people's thoughts about this?
Well, this seems like something that really ought to be part of the shelter program budget, at least shifting, but I don't know about this year, if it,
Well, and I think Lily's testimony, I recall, because it was 800,000 last
Mhm.
year. And they have shifted. it,
Okay.
And so we would expect this might be the last year of this. We may even say that.
yeah, right.
I'm okay,
I am also.
and I'm okay with language, maybe encouraging or requiring.
Oops, sorry.
Okay. Okay, all right. So those were the easy ones. So number 6.
Well,
Or 5.
We didn't do 5.
Oh, sorry.
That one,
I don't know what happened.
easy-ish one. That's the one that the department is recommending eliminating
Right,
because they have
Right.
RHT funds
Right.
for it.
And
They're committed for those funds, or is that why they're recommending removing it? Because they say they are gonna fund it?
Rural health.
Will fund it.
For it,
we
yeah.
plan to use rural health transfer and integration funds for this purpose instead. Number 5 be eliminated.
And
So we can put that in the language. Make sure that
To document, yeah,
the document that
Yeah.
it is going to be covered. Because I think this is a really important, this is a real obstacle for some people.
Yeah,
Um,
I think we have to be careful about how we mention rural health
yes,
transformation grant,
well, I don't know that we need to specify where the
We
money's
say other.
coming from.
other funds.
That it will be,
Committed,
this
yeah.
will be, this money will be appropriated for this without, from other
From
sources.
other sources.
Yeah.
Okay,
Madam Chair, from the conversation from joint fiscal about the Rural Health Transformation Funds, was it they're hoping to get everything obligated by August? Was that the timeline, or am I not remembering that correctly?
yeah, no, that August is, they have to submit further, so now they're in the negotiation process about what the exact dollar amounts are gonna be spent in each area. That has to be done by August, and then the money has to be all out by December or some such ridiculous thing, but
So I guess I'm still concerned about the timeline then, whether funds will actually be available to provide these scholarships the first half of the fiscal year.
well, the department can, like DCF did, they can issue funding in anticipation of grant,
Okay,
right, Jessica? There won't be any delay in issuing funds, in other words.
We'll do it as quickly as possible.
Yeah. All right, that doesn't really work, but, health department as quickly as possible is not been very good.
Just wanted to understand the process of like outside the committee ensuring that that follow through happens with the brilliant, I don't, because this is kind of a new and big thing. Just wanting to make sure that we have like a game plan and there's a specific place for us to be sure that our voice is being heard, especially with this line item, which I think is incredibly important and intersects with housing. And
I think that they, whoever's sitting in these chairs next year, the under oversight and accountability should definitely be looking at that to ensure that, these funds did get out the door to the people that they were intended to be.
yeah,
We can ask during the off session.
After.
We can ask during the off session, we can assign a duty to the joint fiscal committee.
Yeah.
They don't really like that, but, we did it last year with payment reform and developmental disability services. So I'm sure that we'll be getting ongoing updates about the rural health transformation grant. But, I'll be there to be able to ask specific questions about the things that they said were gonna be funded and have they been funded and, is the money out there?
okay,
It's a good point.
yeah,
It's a really good point, because the feds required them to get prior approval of the PowerPoint presentation before they presented to joint fiscal committee. That's the level of oversight that's happening at the federal level.
I also think it'll be really important to kind of keep communication with our community organizations, because if they're not receiving the funding, right, then they can probably alert us a lot, maybe quicker than whether the.
They'll wait till
right,
January,
Right,
yeah.
than waiting for the meeting. So it's really kind of encouraging the partners to have that open line of communication and keep us abreast of like what's happening with the grants, but getting them. I know that's an added layer, but unfortunately, like if things are delayed at the department or it's the feds, we may not hear about it unless the community partner says, hey,
We're
I
not getting.
promised, we're counting on and planning on this money and we have not received it yet.
and I appreciate you bringing that up too, because I feel like the narrative is mostly going to be in the hands of healthcare, which is great and important, and that's, in the title itself, but I do think on the preventative end of things, if human services doesn't get a say in this money, then a lot of wasted opportunity Yeah, so definitely needing those community partners in the mix.
Okay,
Can I add something just quickly in regards to that? You bring up a great, speaking with, Vermont Cares. It seems like there is a significant amount of money from OSAC that they have been granted that hasn't even been applied to them in the last 2 years. And, they have gotten a few responses back from DSU, and I plan to reach on out to Kelly and DSU today to kind of get a little bit more backstory with this, because it is very concerning. $1.1 million that is supposed to be allocated to them from OSAC and other levels of funding that they have not received, to the point to where they had to take out lines of credit to continue their operations.
yeah,
Which leads to interest payments,
To
I'm sure.
your, yeah, to your point, but then to Chair's point of, yeah, I think going forward, some other levels of oversight and other things put into place that we can assist these programs and getting their money, because that's concerning. And I know there's several other agencies under the tutelage of DSU that grants have not been executed, as we've spoken about. So if, I mean, other agencies that received OSAC money over the last couple of years, they received all their money that they've been allocated, so.
Right, if it was the AIDS money, that, I mean, that could be our own internal split jurisdiction in terms of missing because that's the healthcare committee that deals with that part of the budget as a whole, so.
Just to informationally, if folks are like, if you're hearing about that, I think it'd be worth talking to GovOps. They had testimony there last week about a task force at AOA that kind of tried to address some of these grants issuance delays.
Mhm.
And they are doing, the testimony indicated that they are taking some steps. They're revising Bulletin 5. They're trying to streamline some of the processes. So if you have specific examples, bring it to Chair Byron's attention. I had done that and, got some responses around some of like the other grants in DCF. So, so at least when they're hearing about the updates from AOA, they can express this is really not translating from AOA to the individual department or division.
Terrific, thank you.
okay, let's move down to new funding. So,
The recovery, that's
Right.
recommended to be part of that. Combine that rural health money. The DH was saying,
well, they say they need this in addition to,
oh, okay,
they're not saying eliminate that.
okay.
They're saying use the higher number, but I don't know what the higher number is based upon, Eric.
Right.
You?
Me one.
Okay.
Okay.
Is this the one that department tried to get funding for
Last year, and where recovery gets to go, anyhow, yes, this is to expand the continuum of care and funding going towards the higher level of certifications, level 3 or like 3.7. No, excuse me, it's the lower number is higher acute care.
It says level 3 or higher.
Yeah,
Right, so if you look at 14, that's the 300,000 difference. I think what the committee's recommending is some of that going to regular level of care and not the full 1.2 going to the higher level. And there's the 9 plus 3 makes 1.2, so
The
they're
department is
dividing it.
recommending eliminating number 14. That was in Shayla's number.
Okay, but then,
so wait.
but then are they, so they're saying 1 point, right, they want to put it all into the higher level.
Yeah. I did say.
I know, I was just looking at combined,
Yeah.
the combined too.
they wanted one system for allocating, but,
Or otherwise combine these two items.
yeah,
6 and 14.
yeah. Which amounts to the same amount of money, but it doesn't determine which bucket. It doesn't predetermine which bucket they go into.
Well, we would have to be specific about what we're intending it for.
Yes.
I guess, so I get the not wanting to have two separate processes.
Mhm.
I guess I'm a little concerned that, for both the OSAC recommendation and the VDH recommendation. Oh, I see what you're saying now, Ann. It's actually the same recommendation, they just, VDH
split it
combined
out,
and
right,
OSAC, and the OSAC.
Right,
didn't.
and VSH is saying, we want one process, and
Right,
OSAC is saying, we want to make sure that there's some of
Different buckets.
different levels.
why would we, I guess I need to hear a little bit more, Eric, I'm gonna ask you, 'cause thank goodness we have a representative.
Well, I'll do my best, but I do got it brought on up there. The funding request, to your point, that 1.2 million that was put on in there for recovery campus by the governor last year. And then it really wasn't interpreted or clarified to anybody in regards to what exactly was, and they were expressed and told to put in a proposal with OSAC. They put in that proposal, what they were asking for was to establish roughly 16 beds at a higher level to put into like that gap that's been recognized in the continuum of care of residential. We have your Valley Vista and Serenity that are historically 14-day residencies.
We don't have as much of the step down, although Valley Vista has stepped down now.
Yes.
In Virginia.
There's the perfect example of what this money would be going towards, is to establish another step, such as like what Valley Vista has now, longer term care before that transition is made to a recovery house. It fills that gap within,
Does that explain why it's so much higher?
well,
Because it's 900,000.
we looked at, and many agree with it, we shouldn't be utilizing opioid settlement funds as like to inject for a capital expense. So to use the money to, for the services and things, but not for it to be used to build a structure or backfill on those.
Shayla specifically says for capital investments.
Yeah,
I wasn't in favor. I'm just speaking on, yeah, for my.
No, I'm just,
but
I know, I agree. I don't think the money was intended for services, not capital investments.
Right, it says startup costs, which does not normally mean capital. That's like
Well, what's it-
operational startup, yeah.
Startup costs could be anything for,
It could be major renovations.
Renovations,
this line on here, it says startup costs, but, and then justifies it because it's the level 3 or higher, which requires more on-site services. So I did think it was more about services and doing that.
no,
But yeah, the email clearly says this plans to use these funds specifically for capital investments and building improvements that they can't do under the grant. Go ahead.
Yeah, I that memo from Shayla was typical only from House Appropriations. I think that the memo from Shayla was interesting to me because it's the first time I've heard about capital, the OSF being used for capital expenses. And so I think because the rural health transformation money cannot be used for capital expenses, that is why they're using this more flexible money. For that.
So sort of a flip, they're intending to put the money for the operating costs into the rural health and therefore use this for capital. Is that the idea? I don't know what they're.
But that wasn't really explained.
Right.
You know, I think it's a little of both because there's money in base for
Yeah.
operating expenses as well.
Yeah.
It's just that this would, I mean, I don't think we know enough, and I'm not sure the Department of Health knows yet
Well, right, they
how
said,
it's going to use that $8 million.
yeah, the memo said, we're preparing a whole proposal that'll explain all this, but it won't be ready this week.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that leaves us sort of.
Yeah.
Guessing it.
Well, I expect this to change when it goes down to the Senate.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
And maybe even when it
they'll
goes
have
down
more
to
information,
appropriations.
right, when they have more.
So we need to get it out of here so that other places can have their shot at it. And I think none of us, including AHS, really is precisely clear about what's going to be allowed by the feds under rural health transformation, because it changes,
permission
you know,
every
they say
time,
every
yeah.
time they have a correspondence, something changes.
So should we maybe say 1.2 for new recovered beds and not break down what happens and let that happen further in the process when more is known?
The only thing that I would want to ensure is that that money didn't all go to one place.
Right,
That's
yeah, no,
all.
you're
So,
right, yeah.
Like to keep the language for that other bucket in terms of geography.
In terms of geography.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think we can put it in one process, but,
Yep, yeah, that's a good point too. That's one.
So the flexibility is about geography, not about
Yeah,
necessarily
it's
which.
ensuring
yeah.
that we're creating access across Vermont, because right now there isn't access everywhere.
okay, the next one is about,
Sharon, did you choose 1.2
we
then?
did choose
Yeah.
1.2.
Are you not doing, I'm just trying to keep it for Katie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you not doing,
14.
you're not doing 14, but you're keeping going?
We are, right, we're taking the
Exactly.
language from 14, yeah,
Exactly.
without specifying the breakout.
Thank you, Nora.
Okay, the next is pre-hospital.
That's one we agreed to.
Oh, you said that already?
Same.
Okay,
We can skip.
excellent. We're moving right along. Okay, again, however, that's one that's an ongoing program, I would think.
Can we have some like leave-in language?
Yeah, overall.
saying, you know, for all of these. We expect the department to be working on transitioning these for base funding.
We can, you know what, sorry, just, yes, I mean, I wrote that down.
Yeah. Tiff has something.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
I just have a question. I mean, I spoke with Senator Hardy yesterday, who is also on the SAC, and just tried to understand kind of her perspective on the recommendations. And one point that she made, and you know, I wasn't sure how to discern, but the where OSAC and Department of Health see the difference was in providing funding for nonprofit organizations, providers in the community versus state agencies. And maybe the state agencies that are listed here would then grant out to community-based organizations, but it's not clear that they would. I just offered that as that was her perspective on key differences.
So I think on the one, on the prevent program, that's specifically to training for EMS person. That's something that doesn't seem as locked into ongoing. You do training and you might want to continue that, but it's not as,
It's like,
you know, a shelter.
You're not gonna need that. like-
Right, it's,
Yeah.
right,
Do a train the trainer program. and
yes, right.
Create the trainers.
So, remember, we had on the public safety one, we had, the, like deputy commissioner or deputy director or something in for a witness, and I remember asking him about this, he wasn't aware, then they followed up. And I think I forwarded to folks.
Are you going to 8? You talking about?
I'm on number 8, yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
because you guys already funded number 7.
Oh, right. We were discussing your comment about the continuing
Yeah,
funding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
8.
yeah.
What did you send forward about number 8 on specific?
Number 8. Let's see if I put it in there. Sometimes you're so efficient at filing things in the
Yeah.
folder where it goes, and then you can't find it afterwards.
This year?
Yeah, it was,
Right. I remember vaguely that.
I received
discussion.
a response back. Lori, can you find that guy's name? It was like the first week, maybe the second week.
As a
Public safety, he was a witness from the Department of Public Safety, because I know that his name was mentioned in the email and I can search by that.
They did submit a proposal to OSAC. We did not move forward and take it up anything further after their proposal, so I have no.
Well, and I think, honestly, I think, what I'm remembering from the response was they said they were going to continue to do it regardless of whether they got this funding, so.
Yeah.
I remember that, actually.
Yes,
Yeah, and my feeling generally has been, it seems to change the orientation of what this is all intended to. When we put it under Department of Public Safety, all of a sudden that's a kind of conceptual shift.
it is, but I don't want to negate the work that they do, and
No, I don't want to negate it totally,
Yeah.
but that's like a little piece of the balance.
yeah, I hear you.
Did we receive testimony on,
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, we did.
Remember his name.
That's what I'm just.
I didn't hear.
Is it Chris? It's right there. Christopher Herrick?
oh,
Oh,
no,
Oh,
Is he in public safety now? I don't know, he's been around.
I don't know. Oh, that was the emergency management guy.
Dave
That's
was
public safety.
Yeah.
Let's look at it that way.
Because what.
Oh, no, he's in transportation now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
been
the
all over.
topic, substance use or homelessness?
It was, no, what the topic was not substance use. I asked the question because
Yeah.
they happened to be here.
So I think maybe, was it around the 594? Because what else would we have?
No,
Were
it was
these
before we
the-
started
what
working
they
on
sometimes
594.
they sometimes call the something
No.
tables.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Situation test.
thank you,
I'm trying to find- I can't, I remember him being here and it was,
Oh, Jessica.
you got some input here. that might-
Jessica,
Yeah, so Jessica Shabano, Department of Health, Dan Batesy, I believe, was here from the
Thank you.
Department
And
of Public
that's it.
Safety when Shayla presented her initial testimony from the department's recommendation to.
he's not listed here as a witness.
That's, you're not listed if they didn't have documents.
I see. So he's not, yeah, I see. Oh,
but that's all she needed to find.
Was the name, right?
Didn't find anything. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You know how to put, do you know how to, is it PATSY?
BATSIE.
Okay.
I mean, the, everything I've heard about the situation today at the table is just really, really positive. What I'm not sure about is money for it coming out of these funds. Its situation table is far broader than substance use.
Shayla spoke to it on the 29th of January.
That's when he was here as well.
To date, they've utilized funding found within DOC. This work will not be dependent on settlement funds. They currently are using it in 7 locations. They want to expand
Yes.
that.
Yes.
The PSAT team, they do bring people to the situation table, but the situation and PSAT are completely, they're not the same.
Oh, okay. It's helping bring them to the table.
It's like bringing the situation areas together. at a
Yeah,
higher
no,
level.
the situation table is made up of a multitude of agencies
Draw-
and the PSAT, communities that have a PSAT team are they may be participating in the situation table, but they're not the main operators of the situation table.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
I think it's a great program, but I also agree with Ann that it's not specific to
Yes, yeah.
this issue. So it's, I would hope funding could be found, but this probably is the best use.
And it's going to continue without,
Right.
it's continuing regardless of this funding.
Well, I think certainly the program will continue, whether I think they were hoping for expansion. Yeah, the program itself will continue.
So, yes, no,
Are there ways to, I don't even know are there ways for me to investigate where there might be other buckets? I don't know about that, where it might sit.
that would have been up to them to request in the governor's budget. They wanted to expand it,
Right.
honestly.
It's the Department of Public Service.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I'm inclined to say no.
yeah, I am too.
I support our recommendation in regards to the committee. We did not move forward and taking up this
Yeah.
proposal.
All right. That's how we're gonna go for right now, anyway. Okay.
Thank you.
Remind me to ask you about what you just said, the analysis witnesses and also.
Yeah. And I,
Oh,
the
so,
next one I would try to use that.
okay,
I can find them. Agendas, I just can't.
I'm just thinking about when we heard from that. Oh,
That's
gotcha,
all from the agendas.
gotcha. Okay, okay, subsidized room and board for individuals in Rutland mental health transitional.
I just make.
Yeah,
We said 0 to public
Zero for
safety.
so this whole next set, other than the one we already addressed, which is 14. I think that there's a broader question here, which is part of the Department of Health's input about parsing out some of this directly to individual community programs. And I can be convinced otherwise, but I'm a little leery myself about on 2 levels about these independent little buckets. First of all, there's an equity thing around who's aware they can apply, who's able to go through the grant application process, which for small agencies is not the easiest thing to have the time.
We had
staff.
60-something applications.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, that's a lot to pick and choose from where only some get it, and that's sort of, I think would probably add in some ways to my concern. But I don't recall or know in terms of longer term, if this is sort of a long-term established process and they're more on the spot requests that are not expected to be ongoing, maybe it's the most appropriate. Maybe it's but I'm just raising that as a broader issue in terms of all of them. Because if we're going along with doing little independent projects, then I wouldn't want to pick and choose among the ones that the committee picked and chose among already. We're not looking at 60, we're just looking at these. So it's sort of an all or none, which is why I'm bringing it up at the beginning.
In regards to like maybe a little bit of the concern as you drive, out of those 60-something applicants, some that were submitted, their proposal didn't meet what the money should be allocated and utilized for.
Okay.
And that brings into consideration, okay, when we look at the proposal, is this proposal gonna reduce losing individuals to substance use? Is it gonna provide a prevention mechanism? Is it gonna provide a retention mechanism? Does it go to recovery? Things like that. So when you look at those, you take all those things and you factor it on in, and there were just some proposals, a good amount that just didn't fall into how that money is supposed to be used.
So how does this intersect or not with the money that I wasn't really even aware of? The Digger article that talked about this money that went to communities.
That's separate.
That's, I realize it's separate, but if communities all had access to that,
Well, they only did if they joined.
if they joined, okay.
Right.
Communities
So are these
also had the option of, having their money turned over into
Mhm.
the opioid settlement dollar.
No, but they could fund, Winooski could fund the Winooski Partnership
Yes.
for Prevention.
Yeah.
Right, but that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, could, whichever down there, could that 35,000 for the community care network have come out of Rutland's own money that came through that other avenue
Well,
versus it coming out of this fund?
yeah, how a municipality, we did do a meeting at the beginning. I'd have to double check with Senator Hardy when that was done, in which we did have this forum in which municipalities did tap on, and it was explained, how they could use their money and so forth. So to your point, and yes, they could request, Rutland Mental Health could request to the municipality and submit to the municipality a proposal, and then the municipality chooses how they want to go about it.
Is that a question that you asked from a committee member?
I will say, I think the success and access to doing that varies widely, even within my own, community. I think some towns, the decisions were made very behind closed doors, and others were a much more,
But also
Yeah.
to your point, though, there were some municipalities that received $35 and other municipalities that receive tens and thousands of dollars based upon. So
And you didn't do a cross look at, just randomly the Barry Elevate Youth Services. You didn't look at what Barry got out of that money and whether
No.
this could have.
no,
what that-
we do not know what
What they
you
got.
do, and it is public, it is accessible
Right.
on what each municipality.
It's not required to be public.
But, yeah,
I
it's
have
fine.
it on the wall.
Yeah.
Make it
and
required.
it's not public and.
And there's a lot of
communities.
municipalities, I've done a lot of work on this, there's a
Okay.
lot of lack of transparency on, because there wasn't great guidance on what it could be used for, and some municipalities are using it for things that maybe are not appropriate and supplanting other expenses and funds, so.
Well, it doesn't sound like that's something we
But
can look
that's
at as part of this
not something-
decision making.
Exactly.
So let's just pull that discussion out. I'm
Okay.
sorry for,
You took us down a rabbit hole.
well, right, but it clarified that it's a rabbit hole.
So that was kind of
Yeah,
fun. Thank you.
no, but it's a rabbit hole we shouldn't go into in looking at this. That's, yeah.
I do want to talk about prevention though, and that's what I think a theme we see in a lot of the new funding requests
Mhm.
and in the enacting legislation, prevention is listed a couple of times. So, and we don't have any prevention in
These
these
are all
ongoing. And I think this is a really good way of, not all of these are prevention, but that's just one piece. And I happen to think, I look a lot into these types of models and having these drop-in centers. We see it, it's the model that works really great with Turning Point, is having that door that people can walk through. So that serves as that connection. It's really important with prevention. So I kind of get what you're saying. We fund them all, we don't, but if we're going to not fund them all, I think we really need to be looking as prevention as kind of a guidepost for at least one of them for how we choose.
Well,
So-
knowing that the committee went through 60 applications and kind of prioritized, I feel much better about
What's there?
supporting them. Yeah.
So this is gonna throw a further monkey wrench into it, but I think the number's an additional 3 million or something like that. In prevention funds that are actually going to the health department from the cannabis excise tax. And I know our committee has had some questions, I guess I'll say, about how prevention funds in general have been used by the health department. Not necessarily thinking that they've been most effectively used. I happen to agree that this kind of things that are down here are more effective than funding a student assistance officer or whatever they call them in high schools.
Right.
They're also a chance to innovate, to try new things, and it gives us,
Right.
Even if it doesn't go beyond a year, it lets us know what kind of new things might work or, might guide our vision and journey on this.
So what I am asking about is whether I actually agree with the concept that the OSAC committee's already gone through the prioritization process. Okay, we don't need to do that here.
Right.
So I agree, it's kind of an all or none kind of thing. And so I'm just putting out there, we could be directing the department to utilize its prevention funds to fund
Right.
this, as opposed to having them come from this.
I also like that.
It gives them honestly a diversifying how those prevention funds are being used.
Good. Good.
So it would need to be for I don't think the Springfield Project Action one fits into that. But I think that the rest of them do.
Right, that actually ties back to the one that, right, the DPS, but it's the coordinator positions under BDH rather than specific DPS participation,
And why
which
is it-
broadens it.
But why is it called Springfield Project Action and it's in Bennington?
I
Springfield,
wondered
Bradwell,
that too, St.
and
Johnsbury,
Vermont?
yeah.
That might be.
They started out in Springfield and now they've gone wider. They should rename themselves.
Add some letters to the acronym.
That was the original endeavor during Governor Scott's public safety enhancement.
Okay. I mean, it's good to see it more broadly spread or more around the state.
Why, yes. They were one of the few that gave a phenomenal budget and a
I was gonna say
phenomenal.
so. I was gonna say it. So if we're not doing number 8, then would we not do number 13?
No, I think they're actually very different.
Are they
different?
Yeah, they're very
Okay.
different.
Yes,
One is putting the public safety
Yes.
team onto the table, and this is about the table as a whole.
yeah, there's a lot.
Expanding them.
We, like, it was continue regardless.
Regardless of
Yeah,
whether we did
and-
it.
And this is an expansion.
Okay, so I'm gonna put a proposal on the table that we fund the ones on the bottom that BDH did not recommend that are not prevention oriented. So I would say Community Care Network is not prevention oriented. That's number 9. And I would say the Springfield
13.
Project Action is not. And then I would say to direct the department to utilize prevention funds for the remaining. Yeah, go ahead, Noel.
If you're gonna do that, I recommend you add that into your budget letter. Because you would need for the budget, you would need appropriations specific for that. So-
Okay,
So you put a flag in that and make that part of your budget recommendation, because that's coming out of a different bucket and that's budgeted already. So,
yeah. So we would need, although it hasn't been spent, the global dollar amount is, but
no, you need specific.
I know, I know what you're saying. So that's to the health department team. You need language about that from Katie.
Song, you need language from it.
Exactly. Forward it to the folder. Okay,
Yeah,
so,
no idea what to say.
So,
okay, so I'm gonna summarize
okay,
what I just said, because some people are confused about what just happened. Okay, so I'm saying community care network would be funded out of this. So we'd be saying yes to that. Number 10, number 11. Number 12. And number 15. We would be directing the department to use prevention funds. And then
That's
number 13, we would fund here. And number 14, we have already merged up with a different number, whatever number it is.
I have just one point to that to ask. So if I understand number 13 correctly, if the idea is to get a person onto these existing situation tables, use this money to do that. Is that at all related to any way to number 8? Would we want to
Yeah, we just had
reconsider?
that conversation.
Yeah, would we want to reconsider number 8 is what I'm suggesting.
They're totally different.
I realize they are, but are they enough in the same bucket that we would want to consider them?
Or are they gonna continue to need this funding year after year to maintain their position?
I just don't know.
There's a number of these things that
Yeah.
would require ongoing support, and our lead in language is going to be about planning
Maybe for
for
the next,
the
okay,
next.
yeah.
Don't assume that you'd be funded for more than 1 year.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, okay.
In just regards, they just mainly needed that one-time injection to help enhance their data platforms to get a little bit more stabilization and more effective things into place and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So can I just make a point, just for the future, since we're talking about like future funding, I think since last year's legislation, we, kind of set out the priorities and, like, it would be great if in the next round of applications for OSAG, if a messaging is sent with like, these are the priorities, so then what's coming in relates to those priorities, right? And maybe there could be opportunities for innovation and, you know, maybe you either set aside or have some opportunities, but I think it would be great if we can make some like concerted effort into these priorities. So when we can look back and do some accountability and monitoring, we could say like, we use this money for these things and these were the outcomes. Whereas if we're, you know, funding various organizations that are doing different things that may not tie to the priorities, it's going to be harder to show outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, we specifically in last year's legislation said the committee needed to consider outcomes in its allocation process. And I think one of the things that, if I'm remembering this correctly, and who knows, I'm a little fuzzy today, but that the health department was asking us to consider is putting a pause on any allocations for a year after this year, putting a pause to let us kind of like see what the outcomes
Right,
are,
what is-
gather the data.
Yep.
Have the committee be looking at that data over the course, and I think that's actually a decent idea, a good idea. And we would only then consider funding for the 4 things that require ongoing funding for us. So are people okay with that idea? Are you? Thank you. Okay, so we would need to add language in 660 for that. Okay. Yeah,
Can I ask one clarification?
absolutely.
Okay. So funding, number 9 is funded. Number 13 is funded. Then 10, 11, 12-15 are the department should use the substance misuse dollar.
I'm sorry, repeat that again, I was distracted.
So the number 9 is funded.
Yeah,
13 is funded. And then 10, 11, 12, 15 are recommendations for the health department to use substance misuse prevention dollar.
well, directions, yes. Direction to use, not recommendation,
Our direction.
yes,
I think.
okay, so that leaves,
Does that just count as getting Katie to do the language? Do I need to contact Katie?
Katie's right
She's right
behind you, so
behind
you can ask her. Okay, so, so we need to have, the last piece of conversation about the opioid prevention center. Overdose, sorry, overdose prevention center, I'll be honest, I'm not even really sure what to do about it, to be perfectly honest. And, yeah, go ahead, Tiff.
Well, I know that Tom Dalton is gonna be in the building, at 11, and I'm just wondering if there can be a pause.
We're not voting on anything. Yeah, we would love to hear from Tom. As a full committee, though, I'm not gonna do it for myself.
Yeah.
Aiden?
Aiden Carpenter, Saxon Road Food Consulting, just to clarify, is there time today for him?
Yes, because people are working on budget stuff, and we might not have 100% of the people here, because they might have, scheduled meetings with people, but, we could have him here like at 11:15 or so.
Would you like Teresa B to also be present? Well, she'll be present but also testify.
That would be fine.
Teresa.
Oh, Zena. Yes, go ahead.
I
No,
just want to update people that with the decisions you've made, you've spent 5.125 million. And with the conversions, you're only spending 3.67 million. So there's 11.9 on the bottom line, and 3.2 balance. So I will have an updated sheet for you this afternoon, but I wanted you to have a sense of where you are at.
Right. What?
I'll give you a fresh sheet, so you have you've spent, with including the reversion, you spent 3,673,359. I'll give you a fresh sheet for after lunch.
that doesn't make any sense.
I'll show you.
Okay, doesn't make any sense because oh no, those are two separate pieces, never mind. Okay. Okay, so we're going to hear from, City of Burlington and, VCJR, who was the contractor for the overdose prevention center at 11:15. So, Lori, we can go off until then.